Hello you guys, thank you so much for tuning into my channel. My name is Christabel, the original Power Ranger princess. But on this channel, I'm Princess Power Ranger. Now, I wanted to start talking about the different times where basically guys did not know that I was transgender. I'm going to try and tell all of the stories. There are a lot of them, so I'm going to have to break it off, boy. Break it up into bite-sized pieces, focusing on one story and then another and then another. We'll get through it, girl. We will get through it. Now, trigger warning, some of these stories can and might be triggering if you have ever experienced sexual assault in any way, type of, or, form. Also know, I think it's important to note that in me making these videos, it in no way is this a flex or a brag. Some of these situations really kind of left me brokenhearted in more ways than one. And before I even get into these stories, I want you to know that the whole idea of tricking men in order to get into a sexual experience, the only person you are playing is yourself. But it's also important to note that because I was not born female, because I jumped into a feminine space in my 20s, I had never been warned about men's behavior. So let's get into it. I remember, oh God, I think this would have been in 2018. Because 2019 was the first time that I experienced reaching the female threshold, and the first time where I started experiencing feminine privilege, i.e. pretty privilege. Now, I know for some of y'all, I do not look pretty or feminine, bless, voila. But in my own personal lived experience, I started getting a lot of attention. A lot of attention. Some of the attention was wanted, desperately wanted, and some of the attention was not wanted. I think every woman who's in her 30s, even in her 20s, is very fearful of a young girl that enters femininity. Essentially a 13-year-old or 12-year-old who develops and suddenly gets noticed by boys. In the Black community, we often warn young girls not to act too fast and to be wary of some of these, some of these guys that are very quick to compliment and stuff, because we know how dangerous in some instances men can be. Now, I transitioned roughly around 2014. I started therapy and saw, 4 different psychologists from 2011, but I really started living and dressing as Christabel from 2014. So it's been about 11 years. And from 2014 up until 2017, I looked very, very masculine. Way more masculine than I look now. And everyone knew that I was, trans, and I experienced a lot of bullying, a lot of harassment. I experienced, the trans life as we experienced it in the early days. And that left me feeling broken. It left me feeling like nobody wanted me. It left me feeling like the answer to all of my issues would be to look and present 100% feminine, and it felt like such a faraway goal. Now, from 2014 up until 2018, getting someone to like talk to me seriously, where it wasn't like some sort of like secret thing, it was almost next to impossible. So I felt very alone in my transition. Very alone in that my friends that were female, they didn't really understand what transitioning was or why I was having the issues that I was having. And very lonely in the sense that at that time I wanted to have a partner, and I thought that I would be complete if I was in the arms of a man that loved me. Ah, play the violin, play the world's smallest violin. I was that thirsty heifer. And I think whenever you can't fully express or fully live as yourself, and yes, fully expressing and fully living as yourself does mean to some degree being able to enter relationships and to be seen as you are. Because I didn't really have that, it left me with this huge insecurity. And when I, got on hormones and I had my surgery, I was so excited, essentially, to be receiving male validation that my guard was down. And that's how I fell into this horrible, horrible situation. So the video is almost like 7 minutes in. Let's get into the story. I used to party so much back in 2018, 2019, 2017. Girl, I was a professional problem. I was a problem. I would go out Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday I would still go out. I was that wild and reckless, and it was such an important and fun time in my life. But I entered the club scene like a young girl who had never been exposed to men and didn't know how dangerous they could be. I entered that world as a fast little girl, and I got hurt in the same way that fast little girls get hurt. So the night when I met, it was actually 3 guys who didn't know that I was trans. The night that I met those 3 guys that didn't know I was trans, I had gone out to a nightclub. I was the type of person who would go partying by myself. So I'm out in Cape Town. Cape Town is in South Africa, by the way, for those that don't know. I went out and I met up with some friends. I met up with a friend, and we're going to call her Mañano. Mañano was awesome. Love that girl. Love, love, love her. Now, she was with some other girls and one guy. And during that time when we were all like drinking and partying it up, there actually was, besides Mañano, another girl who found out I was trans. And how she found out I was trans, her and me needed to exchange some money, because we were all like getting money together to buy drinks so we could pre-drink. I was such a 20-something-year-old. But during that period, right, or during that evening when me and this other girl were exchanging money, she saw in my banking details, a Mr. instead of a Miss, and she was hella confused. And I remember pulling her to the side, and I was like, I'm trans. And she was like, oh, you're beautiful. Got it, sis, got it, sis. This stays between us. So I was very much on that tip that I didn't want like the whole world, the whole nightclub knowing that I was trans. I just wanted to have a good night. So, we're all partying, us, me and the girls, and this one dude who is very, very friendly. We're going to call him Utabo. Now, Tabo had been basically just, he was staring at me like a lovesick puppy. And he was really sweet. He was really, really lovely. But I was not looking to hook up with anyone. I wasn't looking to tell anyone my life story. Hell, I didn't even want to kiss anyone that night. I just wanted to twerk a little, sip on that Hennessy, and just have fun. Cool. So the night proceeds, the girls get tired and they're like, this club is closing. We all need to go home. I think some of the girls had met some guys and they were going to leave with those guys. But for me, oh, hunty, the Gemma sin was still kicking in. Hey, the Gemma sin. And I just really, really wanted to still stay out. So Tabo basically said, well, me and Christabel, we still want to party. Christabel, you want to go to Dubliner. Now, Dubliner was a club that was in Long Street, close to the clubs that we had been partying at. So I'm like, yes, let's go to Dubliner, Dubliner. We go to Dubliner, right? Me and Utabo, and that's when he started to show his ass. That's when he was like touching upon me, dancing, like trying to grope me and all of that. And I'm the type of person, when I'm in a situation that is schmexually awkward, or a guy is just being too gross and touchy-feely, I just start dancing all over the nightclub, and his drunk self could not keep up with me. So he sits down and I can sort of see him dozing off, and I'm like, yes, that is what I want. Because let's be real, like I never showed him interest. I wasn't trying to hook up with someone. So him like dozing off was perfect for me. But in me trying to avoid him, I didn't realize that I was bouncing off the walls in the nightclub. And because I was bouncing off the walls, and I still had like a fat ass that time, me and my fat ass were bouncing off the walls. And guy number 2 comes in. This, mixed race guy, this South African colored guy comes in. And he was feeling me thirsty. If you know anything about guys in Cape Town from the South African colored community, they are bold. Those men, they are bold to go, my God. Mios dias. They are bold. And this guy kept basically, his arms were around me, he was groping me, and I was not feeling him. And I have this thing where, because I didn't come to the club for you, because I don't even know you from Adam, I'm not gonna tell you my life story. Like, I was just all about get away from me, like smiling and just dancing, but just keeping away from him. Now, I remember that the night was nearing an end. It was about to close. And as I was dancing, I noticed, like when the nightclub people start, moving out, I noticed that there was this white dude, this palm-colored dude, who was sort of sitting in the corner, kind of like staring at me. And I sort of ignored it, but I could sort of sense that he was like looking at me. So when the night ended and, we all left the club and we were standing outside the club and they're closing Dubliner, I was standing next to Utabo, and there was some issue with me not having the Uber app on my phone. So I asked Tabo, I'm like, my guy, can you please order a cab for me and make it a cash trip? Tell me why. I'm sorry, I just keep getting messages. Tell me why he opens his phone and then he like switches off his data right in front of me, and he's like, oh, sorry, I don't have data. I get annoyed, but immediately someone next to me Now I am drunk, but somehow there's somebody next to me who's like, "Oh, what? Are you leaving?" Girl, I look over, and it's white dude who was like staring at me. So I'm like, yeah, well, I mean, the night's over. It's like, I think it was like 2:30 at that point. Way too early for my partying self. So white dude, we're gonna call him Trevor. Trevor is all like, yeah, Tabo and Trevor. Trevor is all like, oh no, there's another club opened. I think it was Village Idiot, which I still have yet to visit, although I've lived in Cape Town. Lord, I can be nonsense, gotcha. But yeah, Trevor's all like, okay, let's all go to Village Idiot. I'll get a cab for us. Tabo must have seen that Trevor was trying to impeach on his girl. I wasn't nobody's nothing. I was the Jamieson's gal. I was the daughter of Hennessy. I was Hennessy's youngest child at that moment. I did not belong to either of these men. So yeah, like, because I'm trying to get away from Utabo and I still wanted to spend time with my good father, Hennessy. I was like, yeah, let's all get a clap. Let's all get a cab and go to Village Idiot. Oh, we get in the cab, and essentially we were just driving around Long Street, the party street of Cape Town, and Gardens, which is a suburb of Cape Town. Tabo starts falling asleep, and I'm like, yes, Kaulal, go to bed. It's late. Sandman is knocking at your door. He gets tired and he's like, and he can sort of see how Trevor isn't preaching, and he probably was like, F it, I'm gonna go. He ends up leaving, and we get to Village Idiot, and it's closed. It is closed. Officially, all of the nightclubs have been closed. Daddy Hennessy, Daddy, Mommy, Gemma-son were like, no baby, it's time for you to go to bed. So I get annoyed and I'm like, well, it's over anyways. So I basically ask, and I don't know why I asked Trevor. Like, I really trusted men back in the day. I really, really trusted men back in the day and did not understand the importance of always having your own apps on your phone and making sure you have your own data. Don't ask no one for nothing. It's wild in these slutty streets. But I asked Trevor if he can order like a cab for me and make it a cash trip, and I'll just pay it. He's all like, well, I can actually drive you home, or I can order it from my place. I just need to smoke a cigarette. Cool, whatever. I'm like, yeah, that's so chilled. We get to his apartment, and, we're sitting outside. He's enjoying his cigarette, and y'all know I am loud, and I am a motor mouth. I just stay talking. Because, we're talking, his flatmate, the girl that he was staying with, was like, you guys are making a noise. Can you not, like, speak so loudly? He got a text message from the flatmate or whatever. So, cool, he finishes his cigarette, and then we go up into his room. Can you see now that the jokes have ended? We go up into his room, and we were talking initially. We were just talking. He started telling me about his family, and I think that is kind of what effed me up, is that I hated when people trauma bond with me, because, especially back then, I used to be very empathic. I'm sat there talking to Trevor like we've been knew each other. I don't know this boy. and I'm in his bedroom on his bed. He doesn't even know I have a dick in between my legs. That's probably bigger than his. And we're talking. Eventually, at some point, after an hour passes, and I'm slowly, like, I wasn't sobering up. I was nowhere near the streets of sober. I was nowhere near this. I was still trapped with the Jemason. But I noticed, like, he's not getting a cab. He got in the blankets, though, and he was like, you can get in the blankets, I don't bite. And it was at that moment that I realized this boy literally lured me into his bedroom. He successfully did what Utabo and the other, colored guy couldn't do, is that he was the one who, instead of me tricking all these men, no, Trevor was way ahead of the game than I could have ever been. He tricked me. He somehow he got me in his bedroom, girl, and I really was not trying to hook up with anyone. I would have when I would try to hook up with people, I would go to the gay club, and I would always somehow attract the straight guys or the trans attracted guys who were there. When I went into regular schmegular straight just clubs, I never did it with the intention of a hookup. Maybe getting some validation and getting some free drinks, but never a hookup. I was so gluttonous. But I decided, whatever, I'm already here. Let me just get in, we'll just pass out, and then I will leave. The minute I got in those blankets, it was full blown ETV action. He had his hands all over me, and I started to sober up real fast because I needed to find an excuse as to why I didn't want to have schmeggles with him, why I didn't want to, tap that ass for him. I didn't feel comfortable telling him I was trans because I was now in his bedroom. And this guy, if he found out, he could have done any sort of thing with me. And he was asking me very specific questions about, things he wanted to do to me. Schmexually. Smegsually. Spicy timely. And he was talking about muffing me, eating my kitty cat out. I don't have a kitty cat. I've never had a kitty cat, and I don't intend on getting a kitty cat. I love cats. I'm actually more of a dog person, but I don't have one of those. So I realized this guy really, really doesn't know. And in that situation, I sort of had to think fast. I was telling him, no, I'm not trying to fall pregnant. Girl, as if I could fall pregnant. What other terrible lies did I tell this boy? He had to come back for it all. He was like, I have condoms. And it was when he was pulling my panties down that I was like, I'll just, go down the road for you and, suck on that lollipop. I didn't really want to do it, but I felt like it was the only thing that I could do to sort of get him to sort of stop, trying to undress me, because something was going to happen. This guy could have bench pressed me with his single arm, and if he found out, I don't even want to think what he would have done to me. He probably would have just told me to F off and kick me out of his room, but there's also the possibility of him smashing my head in, because we were both intoxicated. So I think what messed it up is that I actually kind of did like him, but being in that deceptive situation that I put myself in because I was a thirsty, drunken little thing, it messed me up. So, we do the fellatio, and it was just the dishonesty of it all had me in a chokehold. We go to bed once, he's done. And yeah, eventually I go to bed as well. And when we woke up, and like you worry that the person is going to come to his senses, he's going to sober up, look to his side and be like, Wesley Snipes? That you? You know what I mean? Imagine. I have a sick sense of humor. I really, life has made me bitter. Uh, but yeah, like, he woke up, I woke up, showered, and he gave me a ride home, and the whole time, like, I'm thinking about what just happened. He's busy talking to me like nothing happened, like we both had planned to do this. And he dropped me off. We didn't exchange numbers. And I just started crying. And it confused me because I was like, didn't you lie to him? But the thing is, I wasn't trying to get him. And I felt like I had to do that to get out of a situation where he would have seen, my full-on dick. And it might have led to some kind of, like, it was weird. Girl, I even went to church that day. And it was kind of like one of those situations where, look, people who party and are intoxicated do silly and stupid things, but when you trick men, you're just tricking yourself. You're tricking yourself into some tears. You're tricking yourself into feeling bad about yourself. You're just tricking yourself. I know a lot of people think that I'm like this wild, schmexual, creature that is out trying to be with different guys. I get guys. Like, guys hit on me all of the time. And it is the ability to say yes or no, and for it to always be my choice, that, that I like. I don't like being in situations where there is any sort of dishonesty. I don't like being in any situations where I have to find creative, schmuctual ways to get out of a situation where somebody would find out that I have a dick. And so many of us get caught up in this stupidity. Now, I'm going to say something that's probably going to piss a lot of people off, but y'all might think that I took away his consent. How did he not take away my consent when I told him I didn't want to do anything schmuctual? Think about it. Like, honestly, think about it. He was staring at me the entire evening and managed to pull me away from Otabo. And got my silly, fast little drunken self into his bedroom. And once the doors were closed, any conversation about bringing me home was no longer on the table. Don't get yourself in that kind of situation, girl. Do not be me. It's not worth that. Anyways, I'm going to tell some more stories. They get wild. Be safe out there, y'all. Be safe.